Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy that you're joining us. Today I am not wearing any makeup, but I really want to do my chopping block video. And I'm planning on filming my January ranking later this day because it's the 31st of January, which means the first month of the year is almost over, and I did use quite a lot of palettes, mainly chopping block palettes. So now I'm not gonna rank them. I'm just gonna tell you if I'm gonna keep them or not and why, and my experience with them. And then in my January ranking, you'll see what palettes ended up highest and what palettes ended up lowest. I did actually use and today I'm going to use the palette too, so I think 5 more palettes. The Huda Beauty Rose Quartz I used on its own as well, but these 4 together I used on my sort of wedding day, but I'll get further into that in the ranking video. Okay, so I don't know how many, let's count, 1 second. Okay, I have 18 palettes here that I'm going to decide or tell you how I decided on keeping them or not. I am like very much having a cold, so that's what you hear. So I hope that's okay for you guys. So let's start with the palette I have on top. This is the Glamlight Street Taco. Listen up. I used to really listen up. Sorry. I used to really like this, the colors. I do have to say from the very beginning of having this, I was like, I don't know what to do with it, and then I did find my way around it. The shimmers in this are super beautiful. I used this, which is kind of a challenging shade for me, but it's actually super gorgeous. It has some warmth to it, like a reflective side. But if I'm very honest, I don't reach for this very often. When I reach for it, I kind of have to think for a look. I have a lot of bright palettes, and also the green matte in this just didn't perform the way I wanted it to. And I have to give it to Glamlight for the fact that they had a great formula at that time. But obviously, they also have come a long way, and this is just not the kind of formula, I want to use anymore. And kind of also not the color story. Still love the shimmers, but the mattes just aren't my cup of tea anymore, color-wise and formula-wise. I think maybe as well. Then we have the ABH Sugar. I have recently got this, and I was like, why did I buy this? The plastic sheet just fell out. Why did I buy this? I do really enjoy the color story. It's not too warm. You have your nice shimmers. And I do have to say, I made a look with this, and it took me a while. Like, it took me a while. I was like, oh, I took way too long to do my makeup. I used every single shade in here. But then, and I do have to give him this, it stayed on for the entire day. And with the entire day, I mean, I think I put this on like at 9, and it was still on at 11. And all of my makeup is still on at 11, but then at some point it will start creasing a bit. But this was just like solidly there. And I do have to say, I even kind of think that this looks better after a few hours of wearing than it does in the very beginning. So I'm going to keep it for 2 reasons. One, I'm going to pick up the sheet. One, I do like the color story when I'm looking at it. 2, I like the ABH formula quite a bit, and I have the mini sultry as well. And 3, I did actually enjoy the way my look looked during the day. I do have to say this is a bit of a powdery formula, which ABH is obviously known for, but just so you know that can happen. So this I'm gonna keep. Let's do these 2 next. We have the NYX Not So Nice and Up to Snow Good. That's what they're called. You know, the hard thing about these is I have put these on the chopping block so many times, and every time I like them a lot. I mean, this just looks super boring and super dark, but every time I put them on, I think this is like such a beautiful look and so nice. Um, and even like I don't really love it when I'm putting it on, but then I look in the mirror and like I'm like, wow, that's a good look. So what are we going to do with these? You know, I don't want to just get rid of makeup to just get rid of makeup. So I think I might keep these um, for this round and see how much use I get out of them. Um, I don't gravitate to those two too much, but when I have them on, I do really like them. And then we have Catrice Soft Peonies. I got this last year in 2024, so it's quite a recent palette. I used it, like the first time I used it on camera and it was like, I had a hard time. The second time I used this, I like this a lot better, but it's nothing that I don't have and I still have to think when I use this palette. So I think I'm gonna get rid of it because I think there are people that love a pink and black color story much more than I do, and that don't have a certain way of mattes, shimmers doing your makeup. Then this will be really nice, especially if you use them for like the separate colors. But I have a certain way of doing my makeup, and it just doesn't really fit that. Okay, I hope I'm gonna get this clean because there's some smudges on this packaging, but the Cosmos by Anastasia Beverly Hills, I think I'm gonna have to get rid of this. And that sounds so harsh, and I used this the past month and I did really like it, but I think the mattes are just too warm tone for some of the shimmers you get. I have a hard time every time using this palette of what I'm going to put together, and if I'm going to hold it up next to, because this has duochromes and multichromes, but if I'm going to hold it up next to a palette like this, I mean, if I hold it like this, you can even see the shifts happening in the palette, and even now it doesn't do it justice, you know? But this, it has some shifts and it's nice, but it's also kind of crumbly, and the shifts do not always show up the way I want them to. So is this a gorgeous palette? Yes. If you're like a high-end makeup lover and you want to venture into some multichromes or duochromes, I think this is a good palette, especially if you like a warm tone matte. But if you have already tried Indie, I don't think this is the palette that's gonna wow you. It's a nice palette, but it's not gonna wow you. Oh, my stomach just like rumbled crazily. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I'm repositioning myself. Okay, Malibu Barbie by ColourPop. I'm gonna tell you what's up with this palette. It's a gorgeous palette. Love the color story. I get very happy seeing it. Do I ever use this? No. When I use it, do I love it? Kinda. Can I make the looks that I make with this palette with any other of my palettes? Yes. So should I keep this? No. I like it. I just don't need it in my collection, and I don't reach for it, so it's going to waste. The Douglas Let the Sun Rise. I got this from my sister a long time ago, and I really have enjoyed using it. This shade is super gorgeous and super reflective, as you might be able to tell. But I haven't used it in quite some time. Now I put it on a chopping block, and I like this shade. That's what I liked. But I'm not going to keep an entire 4 pan for one shade. I have thought about depotting this because this is not a palette that I will sell because I use it quite a bit. So I might depot this shade and then throw away the rest, unless someone wants this entire thing in like a in like a package with other palettes, then I'll just sell this. But if this doesn't sell, I might take out this shade because it is a very pretty shade. But this will be decluttered. Ooh, we have some 5 pans. We have MUA against Natasha Denona, and From Natasha Denona, I mainly use these two shades and this shade and then this shade as liner, and I like the look, but I don't think it was that special. It was something that I can't create with other palettes, and for 5 pan, I kind of wanted to do more for me. I have been like back and forth on this palette anyway, so I think it's time to get rid of it. Make someone else very happy with it for a nice price, because Natasha Denona is not something that is very affordable. So if I can, sell it for something that makes me happy, but also give someone else a chance to use Natasha Denona, I'll be very happy. I feel like I'm having like such a double chin talking in this position. Can we just, is this better? Is this better? Yeah, it is better. No, is it? I don't know. People are gonna be like, Zoe, shut up about it. I'm gonna. Sorry. Anyway, I have to say, you guys, this palette surprised me to no end. Anyway, kind of always surprises me. It's very nice, very blendable. The shimmers are out of this world beautiful. The only thing I have to say about this palette is it doesn't have like a lighter shade. Now this shade for me is fine to blend out with, but if you really like your light to dark gradient, this is not going to have that. I only have to have a lighter like corner shade, and I use a shimmer shade, so I'll always just use my highlighter that I'm using on my face for that, so it doesn't bother me. So I'm going to keep this one. Where do I have my keep? Oh, I keep aisle. Okay, I'm kind of dancing around some palettes that I don't want to talk about, but let's just do it. We have the Zoe Cocoa Blend. Okay, I have decluttered this 100,000,000 times. I've put it back out of the declutter pile for 100,000,000 times too. The thing is, this is such a boring palette. I mean, if you're looking at this and you're looking at all the other things you saw, you're probably like, my god, this is boring. But this is such a good staple palette that if I don't know what I'm gonna wear, and if I don't know what I want to do with my makeup, but I have to have it look good the entire day, I have to have it just be okay, foolproof, all of that. This is what I have reached for in the past. I do have to say I now have some more foolproof palettes, but if I'm looking at this, I think it's OG. I think it is a palette that will have a place in my collection, just because these shades I don't have that much in this format together, because I'm not too much of a warm tone girl, and these are more warm tone leaning neutrals. So I think I'm going to keep it for just one more round and see if I actually use it without having it on the chopping block. The Soul Mona 2 by Odin's Eye. I had this on the chopping block because I didn't know if I was going to use it. I used the purple row and the blue row, I think, and I was in love. This is such a good formula. I really enjoy it, so I can't get rid of this, even though it's kind of like one-toned rainbowish. And with one tone, I mean not too dark, not too light, and it's rainbow, but it's very good. Okay. Glamlight Friday the 13th. Have I slept on this palette? Like, this is super gorgeous, and I used like a green combo, and I loved it, so I'm definitely gonna keep this. I'm gonna go through a little bit faster because you guys are gonna be here for 5 hours if I don't. The Profusion Adventurous. Okay, this packaging is very bulky, and very flimsy. Like, you hear it being flimsy and the brush is falling out. Ugh. Talk about double chin. Okay. This is gorgeous. I used this on New Year's Eve, I believe, and I really enjoyed it. And I used it on New Year's Day too, and I made a more neutral look, and I really enjoyed it too. Is this the best palette there is to find on earth? Absolutely not. Is it a good palette? Absolutely yes. I'm gonna keep it for a little bit longer. Let's do one more keep and then talk about some more maybe-ish shades. Cosmic Brushes, Delicious Delights. I thought it was like, nah, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. I made a look with the mint shades, and I was in love, and I just I don't know why I ever thought of getting rid of this. Am I truly a pastel person? Not really, but do I sometimes venture into pastels and love that? Yes, so I think I have enough reason to keep it. Then the Colourpop on the mangoes. I like this. I have it in other palettes. Honestly, I don't need it. The light shimmer is nice, but I do have to like mix it in with the mattes to make like a full gradient the way I like it. So this can go. And then I have two ones left. I have the Looney Tunes I Heart Revolution. I like the mattes. I like this putty shade. I don't know why the rest is here. So I think I'm gonna do the same as with that Douglas palette. If I'm gonna sell this, I'm gonna sell it. If I don't, I'm gonna take out some of the shades and then get rid of the rest. I normally don't do that, but with these two palettes, I'm kind of so much like I'm going back. I'm going like so crazy. Like I'm doubting myself so much for having to go rid of the entire palette, but I also don't want to break up things that someone else can use, so that's why I'm gonna do that. And also I do like the other shades, so I do see myself reaching for them. And then last but not least, we have the Menagerie Serenity palette. I love this periwinkle, and I know I love this periwinkle, so I try to force myself to use some different things. I like the entire like outside of the palette. I don't know why this gold and orange is in here, although I did use the gold with the greens and I did like it. This is a very nice palette. I don't know if I would reach for it, but I want to see if I would because I didn't really enjoy using it. So I am gonna keep that one. So I don't know if I want to call this chopping block unsuccessful because it was just to find out if I was actually going to reach for these palettes, but I kept 5, 6, we kept 10 palettes, which is this pile you're seeing over here, this entire pile, and then we got rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got rid of 8, which is this pile. So I don't think that's too bad. I'm gonna sell these 8 palettes. 2 of them, if I don't sell them, I'll take them apart and put some in my single palettes. And that's it for today. I hope you guys liked this style of video, talking about some older palettes and if I want to keep them or not. And I hope you stay tuned for my January ranking. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!